Right, Neil, I'm going to begin by asking. I mean, I'm really enjoying what seen of the show so far. But one of the things I love most about it was the stunning kind of locations. I mean, Italy just looks beautiful on screen. I just wanted to ask why you chose Italy for the kind of setting for this particular story.
Because I'm aging and my bones are beginning to creak, and I woke up one morning and I realized it's not completely necessary to spend my entire professional life in February in Shoreditch at 3 o'clock in the morning in the rain. So yeah, I mean, I thought it would be nice to. Well, I also think it's creates something which the audience can enjoy more. I mean, the idea of having a slightly aspirational place, a place which is slightly more beautiful than a place you get to spend your everyday with clever people wearing good clothes and driving good cars and being in big trouble. It's just the idea of a kind of slightly, in the best sense of the word, a slightly old-fashioned thriller on telly, which is fun and enjoyable and sunny and glamorous.
And how good in real life are you with kind of puzzles? I mean, are you any good at crosswords, for instance? Are you one of those people that can kind of, because I'm rubbish at crosswords. I can't, I can never get my head around one.
I'm utterly hopeless. Anything which involves that kind of lateral thinking, which crosswords involve. I do enjoy Only Connect is my favourite TV show, and I think she should probably be prime minister, and it would solve most of the country's problems. But one of the great joys of watching Only Connect is that if you get a single answer right, you feel like the king of the world. And I once, a long time ago, admittedly, but actually when I should have been at the height of my mental capacity, I had my IQ tested, and I've got an extraordinarily low IQ, extraordinarily. Had I ever applied for MI6, they'd have laughed me out of the building.
Yeah, it's like me when I watch University Challenge. If I get one guess, it's always a guess.
Oh
By the
yeah,
way. If I get one guess
yes,
right,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
cheering in front of
yeah.
the telly. But it got me thinking because I remember it was the case. I remember years ago when I read the Da Vinci Code or by Dan Brown, or when I was watching kind of Breaking Bad by obviously Vince Gilligan. I always remember thinking they'd make kind of great criminals or kind of great detectives. These right. And do you believe that can be true of kind of writers in literature or for screen, that yourself included, when you spend so much time kind of unraveling mystery and kind of criminality in your head, do you think you actually end up with quite a unique take on the whole landscape?
The greatest compliment, well, no, the greatest compliment ever, of course, is I do. The second greatest compliment I've ever been paid was by a police advisor that we used on a show called Luther, who took me aside after we'd spent a bit of time together. And he said, "Did you know you'd make a fantastic murderer?" And I took that as such high compliment. But I mentioned it to a friend. And this is the flip side of that realization, is he said, "You'd be a terrible murderer." The act of planning the murder and doing the murder, I think I could carry that off fine. I think I'd be quite good at that. But it's the day after. It's the anxiety about being caught and the worry about the detail that you missed. Because Peter Falk is always there looking at the detail you missed. Peter Falk is always going to see the dropped button or the fake voicemail. So the anxiety after the murder would cause me a lot more stress than the murder itself, I think.
And I mean, I was going to ask as well about the acting here, because you've created these kind of great roles, but you obviously need great actors to bring them to life. And you kind of struck gold with Niamh and Tom. I loved that first meeting in that cafe in Florence. It just felt like two real kind of current TV heavyweights, kind of having that kind of great dialogue heavy scene. How thrilled are you that they're your kind of Iris and your Cameron? Can you talk a little bit about the kind of casting process too?
Yeah, I mean, beyond thrilled is the truth. I'm always slightly wary of this because people who do my job can come across as being kind of insincere and a bit glib when talking about this stuff, but genuinely over the moon. But casting Iris, there are very few, apart from Harrison Ford and Han Solo, there's very few interesting casting stories, right? But I thought that casting Iris was going to be a protracted, difficult, fractious, and ultimately maybe somewhat disappointing process, because there were so many requirements that any given actor had to be able to fulfill. And I had this kind of slightly angsty conversation with our casting director. And I told him, what ideally we could find. And he just said, "Oh, no, you need to see Niamh Algar." And Niamh taped the next day. and we never looked at or considered another actor. I've never had that experience before. I don't expect to have it again. But we had found our Iris just immediately. It was a kind of fascinating and quite exhilarating process.
Yeah, she just feels perfect for the role of Iris in the same way that kind of Idris felt perfect for the role of Luther as well. Does it? But when you've created a kind of character in your head, which I can sometimes might be a kind of blurry image of a person, when a great actor comes in and takes over, do you find it changes your own perception, even as a writer, of what that character kind of is, given the actor's input?
I mean, weirdly, that's one of my favourite parts of the process. And sometimes you get this kind of tessellation, like there's a tessellation between me and Niamh, that we both understood the character in the same way from the get-go. So working with Niamh's a kind of guided missile of an actor. She kind of fundamentally understood who the character was, kind of in her bones. And we saw it in the same way. So we were able to chart that character's progress like a missile. But for someone like Tom, the experience is completely different. And that Tom brought unexpected levels of kind of vulnerability and tenderness and loss to the character that I hadn't seen there on the page. But once he was able to exemplify them, I was able to follow that through, and that character changed quite comprehensively in the process of writing it.
Brilliant. Well, I could speak to you all day, but that's all the time I've got time for. But thank you so much, Neil.
Oh, that makes some sense.
That's great. Cheers, thanks.
Cheers, bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!